Alex shifted on the edge of the bed, staring at the ceiling fan as it spun in lazy circles. The rhythmic hum filled the silence between him and Jason, who lay beside him, scrolling through his phone. The blue glow of the screen illuminated Jason's sharp features. Features Alex once traced with his fingertips, memorizing every line. But now, Jason felt like a stranger. Alex swallowed the frustration rising in his throat. "Are you coming to bed?" Jason barely looked up. "In a bit." The same answer. "Every night." Alex sighed and turned away, pulling the blanket over his shoulder. He knew what was happening, even if neither of them said it out loud. The distance between them wasn't just emotional. It had settled into their bodies, into the cold space between them. Lately, Jason had been different. His touch had become mechanical, his kisses absent-minded, his affection rationed like a dwindling resource. He was always distracted, always somewhere else, even when he was right beside Alex. Alex wasn't naive. He saw the late-night messages Jason hid, the way he turned his phone screen away when Alex walked in, the sudden excuses to stay late at work, the absence of desire. He knew, but he wasn't ready to say it. Instead, he let silence fill the room and told himself he was imagining things. The next morning, Alex woke with a dull ache in his lower abdomen. He ignored it at first, brushing it off as stress, but by midday, it had worsened. A deep, uncomfortable pressure throbbed near his pelvis, sharp enough to make him wince. "Maybe I should get it checked," he muttered, rubbing his side as he sat in his car, parked outside his office. He hesitated before pulling up a clinic's number. He didn't want to go through the hassle of a hospital visit, but something told him this wasn't the kind of pain he should ignore. A quick online search led him to Dr. Caldwell, a well-reviewed physician known for his expertise and discreet private practice. The clinic wasn't far, and they had a same-day opening. Perfect. Alex arrived at the clinic later that afternoon. The waiting room was minimalist and modern, all sleek glass and soft beige walls. A receptionist with carefully styled blonde curls greeted him with a polite smile before handing him a form. He filled it out quickly, barely glancing at the medical history section, and returned it. A few minutes later, the door opened, and Dr. Caldwell stepped out. Alex expected someone older, maybe a bit weathered, but the man in front of him was striking. Mid-30s, well-built, dark brown hairstyle just enough to seem effortless. His sharp jawline and piercing blue eyes carried an intensity that felt out of place in a clinical setting. "Alex Carter?" Dr. Caldwell's voice was warm but professional. Alex stood, suddenly aware of how underdressed he felt in his casual jeans and fitted t-shirt. "Yeah, that's me. Follow me." Dr. Caldwell led him into an examination room, closing the door softly behind them. The room was well lit, with medical charts neatly pinned to the walls. The scent of antiseptic lingered in the air, mixing with something faintly woody. His cologne, maybe. "Tell me what's going on," Dr. Caldwell said, leaning against the counter as he flipped through Alex's intake form. Alex shifted in his seat. "I've been having this dull pain in my lower abdomen. It started this morning. Feels deep, not like a surface injury." Dr. Caldwell nodded, making a few notes. "Any nausea? Fever?" "No, just discomfort." "All right, let's take a look." He pulled on a pair of gloves, his movements efficient but unrushed. "Lie back on the table for me." Alex obeyed, stretching out on the cool examination table. His pulse quickened, not because of the checkup, but because of the way Dr. Caldwell's presence filled the room. There was something undeniably magnetic about him, something in the way he carried himself. "Lift your shirt," Dr. Caldwell instructed. Alex did as told, shivering slightly as the doctor's fingertips pressed gently against his abdomen. "Tell me if this hurts," Dr. Caldwell said, pressing lightly at different points. Alex shook his head. Not really. He inhaled sharply when pressure settled on a specific spot. Dr. Caldwell's brow furrowed. "Right there?" "Yeah." He nodded, seemingly lost in thought. "All right, I'll need to do a more thorough examination. That means checking for any possible hernias or swelling in the lower pelvic area." His voice remained professional, but there was a shift, an unspoken tension neither of them acknowledged. Alex swallowed. "Okay, Dr. Caldwell stepped back and removed his gloves. "I'll need you to remove your jeans and underwear. You can cover yourself with the sheet." Alex hesitated for only a second before complying. He unbuttoned his jeans, pushing them down along with his briefs, then pulled the sheet over himself. Dr. Caldwell returned, now wearing fresh gloves. His expression remained composed, but Alex caught the way his throat bobbed, the way his fingers flexed before reaching for the sheet. He lifted it just enough to begin the examination. Then he stopped. For the first time since Alex walked into the room, Dr. Caldwell's expression faltered. His eyes widened slightly, just a flicker, but Alex saw it. His breath hitched, and for the briefest moment, the air between them shifted. The silence stretched. Then Dr. Caldwell cleared his throat, his professional demeanor snapping back into place. Just relax," he said, his voice a fraction lower than before. Alex's heart pounded against his ribs. He wasn't sure why, but he could feel it. Something had changed, and he wasn't sure if he wanted to stop it. A heavy silence settled over the room, stretching longer than it should. Alex lay still on the examination table, barely breathing as Dr. Ethan Caldwell hovered above him, his gloved hands frozen just inches from his skin. For a doctor who had likely seen thousands of bodies in his career, his reaction was unusual, too telling. The moment passed in a blink. Dr. Caldwell exhaled sharply, schooling his expression into something more neutral, more professional. But it was too late. Alex had already seen the flicker of something, curiosity, maybe intrigue, flash across his face. "Relax," Dr. Caldwell said, his voice steady but quieter than before. Alex wasn't sure he could. The air between them felt charged, a current pulsing just beneath the surface. He tried to dismiss it as nerves, as nothing more than his own overactive imagination. But the way Dr. Caldwell's fingers lingered a beat too long as they pressed against his hip bone told him otherwise. A slow, deliberate touch. Not clinical, not detached. Something else. Alex swallowed hard, fighting the warmth creeping up his neck. He shouldn't be thinking about this. Not here, not like this. But he couldn't ignore the way his pulse quickened when the doctor's fingertips brushed over his lower abdomen, testing for tenderness, moving lower with each careful press. "Let me know if you feel any sharp pain," Dr. Caldwell said, his voice calm but strained. Alex nodded, though speaking felt impossible. The examination was routine, yet nothing about it felt routine. Dr. Caldwell was thorough, professional, but beneath that polished exterior, something simmered. His fingertips were firm, yet careful, his touch just shy of impersonal. Alex wondered if he was imagining it. Then he looked up. Dr. Caldwell's eyes, usually so sharp, so unreadable, were darker now, his pupils slightly dilated. For a split second, he wasn't just a doctor assessing a patient. He was a man staring at another man, taking in every inch of him. Alex's breath hitched. Then, just as quickly, it was gone. Dr. Caldwell cleared his throat and pulled back, stripping off his gloves with practiced ease. He turned away, scribbling notes on his clipboard as if the last few minutes hadn't crackled with something unspoken. "You seem fine," he said after a moment, his tone back to normal. "No hernia, no obvious abnormalities. I suspect it's muscular strain, but I'll order some imaging just to be sure." Alex sat up slowly, watching him. He was meticulous in the way he wrote, almost as if he needed to distract himself with the movement of his pen. "All right," Alex said, his voice rougher than he intended. He reached for his clothes, pulling them on with deliberate slowness, waiting, hoping, for Dr. Caldwell to say something else. But he didn't. He kept his eyes on the chart, his body language carefully composed. If Alex hadn't seen that flicker of hesitation earlier, he might have believed the moment had been one-sided. Instead, he knew better. Something had shifted, and Dr. Caldwell knew it too. Alex left the clinic feeling restless. He should have been relieved. His health was fine, and the pain wasn't anything serious. But that wasn't what occupied his thoughts as he drove home. It was him, Dr. Ethan Caldwell. The way he looked at him, the way his hands trembled, just barely before pulling away. The tension that stretched between them like an invisible thread. Alex had been with Jason for 5 years. 5 long years of shared routines, of whispered "I love yous" that had long since faded into habit. But this was something else entirely. It had been a long time since he felt wanted. Truly wanted. He ran a hand through his hair, exhaling sharply as he pulled into the driveway of the home he shared with Jason. The house was dark, except for the faint glow of the living room television. Jason was home. Alex stepped inside, closing the door softly behind him. Jason was sprawled on the couch, eyes locked on his phone, barely glancing up. "Hey," Alex said, testing the waters. "Hey," Jason mumbled in response, not looking away from the screen. The same cold distance, the same quiet indifference. Alex clenched his jaw. Maybe nothing happened at that clinic, nothing physical at least, but for the first time in a long time, he had felt something real, and it scared him. 2 days later, Alex's phone buzzed while he was at work. Unknown number. He frowned before opening the message. "Dr. Caldwell." "Hey, Alex. This is Dr. Caldwell. Just wanted to follow up and see how you're feeling." Alex's stomach tightened. He shouldn't be this excited. It was just a doctor checking in. Just protocol, right? He hesitated before typing back. "Alex, I'm feeling better. Thanks for checking in." A few minutes passed. Then another message. "Dr. Caldwell, glad to hear it. I also wanted to say, if you ever need anything outside a medical visit, I'm here." Alex stared at the screen. It wasn't professional. It wasn't standard. It was something else. Something dangerous. His fingers hovered over the keyboard. He could ignore it, pretend this never happened. But he knew he wouldn't. Because when he read that message, his first thought wasn't "I shouldn't." It was "I want to." Alex stared at the message on his screen, his heartbeat hammering in his chest. "If you ever need anything outside of a medical visit, I'm here." It was simple, almost innocent in wording. But the weight behind those words was undeniable. His fingers hovered over the keyboard, debating his response. He could ignore it, pretend this conversation never happened. But deep down, he knew that if he ignored it, it wouldn't be because he wasn't tempted. It would be because he was afraid of what might happen if he gave in. And the truth was, he wanted to give in. After years of feeling unseen, unappreciated, untouched, this was different. Ethan Caldwell saw him. Alex exhaled slowly and typed back. "Alex, thanks, Ethan. I appreciate that. Not too much. Not too little. Just enough to keep the door open." His phone buzzed almost instantly. "Ethan, anytime." A short, simple response. But Alex could feel the hesitation, the same uncertainty that mirrored his own. This was dangerous. And yet, he wasn't willing to walk away. The next few days passed in a blur of routine. Work, home, the empty silence of his relationship with Jason. They spoke only when necessary. Their conversations reduced to practicalities. "Did you pick up groceries? I'll be late tonight. There's food in the fridge." Nothing more, nothing less. The distance between them had grown into something unspoken but absolute. And yet, Alex still hesitated. He told himself he wasn't the kind of person who strayed. He had always prided himself on loyalty, on commitment, on the belief that love, true love, meant staying even when things got hard. But wasn't love supposed to feel like something? Because whatever this was between him and Jason, it didn't feel like love anymore. That thought followed him like a shadow. And that was how, 3 days after Ethan's message, Alex found himself parked outside the doctor's clinic again. Except this time, he wasn't there for a checkup. He had told himself he wouldn't come. But he had. And when he stepped inside the clinic, locking eyes with Ethan across the reception desk, he knew neither of them had the strength to stop this anymore. Ethan's office was quiet, the blinds partially drawn, casting soft shadows across the room. He leaned against his desk, arms crossed, watching Alex carefully. "You didn't schedule an appointment," Ethan said, his voice low. Not accusing, just acknowledging. Alex swallowed. "No." A charged silence stretched between them. Ethan exhaled, raking a hand through his dark hair. "Then why are you here?" Alex knew the answer. Ethan knew it too, but saying it out loud would make it real. And he wasn't sure if he was ready for that. "I don't know," Alex admitted. It was the only truth he had. Ethan's lips pressed into a thin line. He didn't move, didn't say anything at first. But his eyes, God, his eyes said everything. The same hesitation, the same conflict, the same unspoken desire. When he finally spoke, his voice was quieter. Alex, I don't want to do something you'll regret. The words should have pulled Alex back, should have reminded him that this was a line he wasn't supposed to cross. But all he could think was, would I regret it? Jason hadn't touched him in months, hadn't looked at him the way Ethan did now. He didn't answer right away. Instead, he took a slow step forward, closing the space between them. His pulse pounded in his ears. Ethan didn't move. He just watched, his chest rising and falling a little too fast, his fingers flexing at his sides like he was fighting every instinct telling him to reach out. Tell me to leave, Alex said, voice barely above a whisper. Ethan's jaw tightened. Alex, tell me. Ethan exhaled shakily. I should, but you won't. A beat of silence. Ethan closed his eyes for the briefest moment, as if trying to summon some last shred of restraint. Then, finally he spoke. No, I won't. For a long moment, neither of them moved. The air between them was thick, charged with an unspoken understanding, a shared moment that teetered on the edge of something irreversible. Ethan still leaned against the desk, his hands gripping the wooden surface as if grounding himself. Alex stood close enough to feel the warmth of his body, close enough to see the way Ethan's breath quickened, his pupils blown wide. Alex swallowed hard. Ethan, his name was barely more than a whisper, but it was enough. Ethan closed the last of the distance between them. His lips hovered dangerously close, close enough that Alex could feel his breath ghost over his skin. But he didn't move, didn't press forward. Alex could hear his own heartbeat pounding in his ears. This is a mistake, Ethan murmured. Alex let out a shaky breath. I know. Neither of them pulled away. Ethan's fingers twitched at his sides. Then hesitantly, he reached up, slowly, cautiously, like he was still giving Alex the chance to stop this. Alex didn't stop him. When Ethan's fingertips finally brushed against his jaw, a shiver ran through him. It was the first touch, the first real touch, and it set every nerve in Alex's body alight. A sharp inhale. Ethan's thumb traced the curve of Alex's cheek, a touch so delicate it almost hurt. I shouldn't want this, Ethan whispered. His voice was raw, conflicted. Alex's throat tightened. But you do. Ethan exhaled sharply, his grip tightening just slightly. Yes. It was the last word spoken before restraint shattered. Ethan's lips crashed against Alex's, desperate, hungry, months, years of unspoken longing poured into one reckless, dangerous kiss. Alex's fingers curled into Ethan's shirt, pulling him closer, drinking in the warmth, the heat, the feeling of finally being wanted. For the first time in a long time, he felt alive. But as quickly as it began, Ethan pulled back, breathing heavy, hands trembling as they still rested against Alex's face. His expression was wrecked, torn between desire and something deeper, guilt, hesitation. Alex's own breath was unsteady, his lips still tingling. Ethan took a step back, then another. I can't, he said hoarsely, shaking his head. This isn't right. A cold wave of reality crashed over Alex. What? His voice cracked slightly. Ethan ran a hand through his hair, exhaling sharply. Alex, I want you. God, I want you. But this isn't just about you and me. A sharp pang settled in Alex's chest. Jason, Alex whispered. Ethan nodded, his expression conflicted. You have a choice to make. Alex swallowed, his stomach twisting painfully. He had spent so long feeling nothing in his relationship, and now, all at once, he was feeling everything. But at what cost? Could he walk away from Jason, the life they had built together, even if it had faded into routine? Could he walk away from this, from Ethan, knowing what it felt like to finally be seen? Ethan's gaze softened. You deserve more than stolen moments, Alex. Alex's chest tightened. So did Ethan's jaw. And I won't be the reason you break. A lump formed in Alex's throat, because, deep down, he knew Ethan was right. But that didn't make it hurt any less. The silence stretched between them. Painful, heavy, final. Then, Ethan turned away. And Alex knew. This wasn't just hesitation. This was goodbye.